Hello, everyone. Welcome to Ham Radio Outlet's Shack Chat. I'm Katie, WY7YL, and I'd like to welcome one and all for joining us today. We're here live on Facebook and new this week, live on YouTube. So I'd love to see who's here today, and please do give us a shout out. Let us know your call sign and your location. And very excited to have my friend Karin Thompson, K0RTX from RT Systems. She's joining us today on Shack Chat, and I'll bring Karin in here in just a moment. But I do want to say, here's my new friend Kelly. I just met her last night. I did a quick video conference with the ARRL West Texas section and talked about all things ham radio. It was a lot of fun. So welcome, Kelly. Nice to have you join us here today. Oh, and there's my friend Dan from California, KF6 Triple H. And of course, our regulars, Greg and Judy in from Kentucky. Oh, and my friend Ed from New York State. Hi, Ed. Nice to see you here today. As always, got lots of friends here, and any of you new folks that are here, please do say hello. Let us know if you're a first time to the Shack Chat. Okay, so I'm going to dive right in this week. Our first DX is here. All right, well, let's get over here. I'm going to dive right in. So welcome to my friend Karin Thompson, K0RTX from RT Systems. Good morning, and I guess good afternoon, Karin.
Yes, hello, Katie. And that may be something that your viewers or your listeners are wondering about, the fact that you say good afternoon to me when I think they know you're in Wyoming and think we are in Colorado. So they would think we were in the same time zone.
Right.
But as of the 25th of March, that changed. RT Systems packed up and moved from just outside of Denver to a little town called LaGrange, Georgia, which is home for me. So I'm real lucky I got to come home. It's a wonderful place here. It's an easy place to live. It's so comfortable. And we're getting everything set back up and running. And according to somebody I talked to this week, he said, you moved and we never knew it. So I guess I did a pretty good job of it. Yep.
That's always good when you can get something in seamless and your customers have absolutely no idea that you did that. So obviously we managed to you managed to fool them. So you're in your original hometown back down in Georgia instead of out here in the Rockies. We sure are going to miss you out this way, but I understand from our previous chats you have a new facility there. And are you fully up and running yet? Or I would venture, I guess you're still settling in your new home there in Georgia.
Well, we're still at the last of the construction. We're painting, putting down floors, doing electrical. So we're probably still a month from absolute move-in, but everything's here. A part of the office is up and running. A part of the office has moved to our house because luckily we had a great big room that we could work in, and we are just making everything happen.
Great. So, well, just in case there happens to be somebody who's watching right now, just a quick reminder, you are here watching us on Shack Chat. It is Friday, May 1st. I am your host, Katie, WY7YL. And I'm joined this week by Karin Thompson, K0RTX from RT Systems. Welcome everyone who is watching live, and welcome to everyone who's decided to watch after the fact. We appreciate you joining us. Now, just in case there happens to be somebody out there, because, we do have a bunch of new hams that watch our show. Why don't we at least start with a quick basic? Who and what is RT Systems?
RT Systems is programming software for amateur radios. We invented this 25 years ago. I can remember when Rod looked at the FT11 by Yaesu, and he and his brother looked at it and said, hey, I wonder if you can make it talk to a computer. And it is history from there. It started with the FT11 and the FT51, and there are now 450 different radios, and I lost count of the manufacturers we do these for. And while the programs are very similar, that's one of the things about them. You want that similarity. You got a new radio to learn. Why have to learn new software? It gives you copy and paste between them, even if they're from different manufacturers. the radios demand that they have their own software that is designed specifically for them,
Sure.
because as some of you may know, if you send something wrong to a radio, it becomes a doorstop because it will forget everything, including it's a radio. So we own every radio that we do. We own multiples. I say we do 450 programmers. We probably own 1,000 or more radios. Matter
Oh
of
my
fact, in
goodness.
this move, that was one of the major considerations. We built a room just for the radios, because if they're not organized, they do us no good.
Right.
So when you call in with a problem, I can lay my hands on the radio you're talking about. We can send your file to the radio. We can see what it's doing. We can see how you got it to do what it's doing. And
Wow.
I'll admit, it could be something in the program,
Hmm.
but in all honesty, Katie, more often than not, it's a button push sequence
Right.
that we then figure out, and we'll help you with it and
Hmm.
go from there. Right now, with all that's going on, with everybody sheltering in place, we are absolutely overwhelmed with the calls, and I must salute everyone who is going on to learn about the advanced features of their radios. But give us a chance, because as much
Yeah.
as we would love to know all those advanced features of all those radios, there are days that we go from one call to the next and never have a chance to then follow up on something. But
Right.
we would love to. And the one that's on my mind right now is, I just found out the FT2D does text messaging, and I can't wait to play with that radio and find out how that works.
But
But
you need some time to do that.
you need some time to do that. That's exactly right. So don't give up on us. We are getting things done. And if it is a major issue, do remind us. We're only human.
Right.
Just get back to us and say, "Hey, did you forget me? Remember we were doing," and we'll come back around to it. It's the
Oh, yeah.
squeaky wheel type thing.
Oh,
So we'll be more
absolutely.
than happy to help. Mhm.
Well, and how many, I was talking earlier this week, we did a live segment with a couple of our managers. We had Janet from Anaheim and Tom from Milwaukee. And while we were talking, the phones are ringing behind us. And I asked, I said, I wonder, are you slower in the stores because you don't have as many people walking through the doors? And they said, no, actually just the opposite, because we're getting so many more phone calls, people with lots of questions. They can't walk in the store to, you know, try out the radios, to play with the knobs, what have you. And Tom even said that they've a couple of times they've stood on the inside of the window holding up an antenna like this one or this one, and the folks are on the other side looking in, and they're accommodating that way. And they said, the phones are just nonstop, and the teams are just running like crazy. And it's amazing because as Janet said, at least in her area, a lot of people now, because they have extra time, are embarking on some new ham radio projects. And so they're selling a lot of coax out of their store because people are building antennas and trying out new things. And I would venture a guess that you're probably seeing some of those same types of calls because, like you said, people are diving into some of the more advanced features of their radios, and hence, pulling out their RT systems programming and seeing what they can do with it.
Exactly. And that's something new that we realized through this. A catchphrase that you could say about RT systems programming is, we make it easy to experiment. So
Mm,
that when you are looking at the programmer and you're looking at the settings screens, I'm going to show this in just a few minutes. I'm actually going to
okay.
show some of the programmers.
Oh, great.
But remember, there's more to it than just that grid and just those memory channels and just those frequencies. And when you're looking at it, we try to group things together. So if you're trying to do something fancy with the display, or you're working on GPS, all the
Hmm.
features will be right there together, because although you may not need them all, you may not realize there are that many things that can be customized about that feature.
Right.
And think about putting in beacon text and that kind of thing, turning the knob one letter at the time, and just think how much easier that is to just type it into the program. Well, then you type it in and you want a message different. Well, go back in and type it in the program and send it back to the radio. So we make it easy to experiment.
Mm.
And back to the very basics, you don't know if a repeater uses tone or tone squelch. That has to be the most common question that we're still answering, and we've been answering for 25 years.
Oh, no kidding.
Program the channel in twice, program it in 3 times, change one setting, change tone mode from tone to tone squelch. See what it does when you go out in the field, see
Mhm.
which one works. We make it easy to experiment, because then when you find out that one of them doesn't work, take it out of the file, reprogram the radio, and it's gone from the radio. And it's just easy.
Right. Here's a great question. And you see this, I bet you see this type of a question a lot, especially at a ham fest, is people are interested in the software, but can they use a regular cable with it?
Well, um, what Alan is asking about a regular A to B cable, yes, on those radios that use a standard, and I use standard in quotes because there is no such thing. Yes, try the cables that you have. I had one customer who went through 4 cables before he found one that worked.
Oh, no
So,
kidding.
yeah, because they're not standard. I really think that was a problem with drivers loading. And always remember to give drivers time to load. I mean, it can be 30 seconds to 2 minutes. Give them time.
Right.
But if we say that it uses an RT Systems cable, the
Mhm.
USB 68, the USB K4Y by RT Systems, we mean it.
Right.
It's a system, and the reason we do that is it's a system. Then if you call with a problem, we know the electronics that are going on between the radio and the computer.
Right.
Because if you introduce a strange set of electronics, they what we learned when we were first developing our cables, they will hold bits, they will release them only when they get so much,
Hmm.
they will vary the baud rate going through them. These electronics can do all kinds of things. They're better now than they used to be, but they
Right.
are still not perfect. And our circuitry and our cables are designed to work with this process with the radios, because these radios are cranky. They'll
Yeah.
only wait so long. And if you hand them a wrong piece of information, they will be more than happy to error out at the end, because they
Right.
can't deal with what they've been handed. And so all they can do is, as I put it, run home to mama. And they just, all they know is they're a radio. And a lot of the new fusion radios, they'll even lose the call sign if
Oh
they
gosh.
fail. And now you're back to turning knobs to get that call sign back in there. Of course,
Right.
there's trick there. Just put one letter in to satisfy it. You can put the call sign back in with the program.
There
But
you go. There's your shortcut trick of the day.
there's your shortcut trick of the day. But no, if it's a straight through cable and the electronics are in the radio,
Mhm.
we know what electronics we're using. We're using the
Right.
electronics and the drivers of the radio. So then it becomes a standard we can work with again.
Right. And so because of having that specific cable, it's not just a regular cable. It's all, like you said, it's part of the system, which I think is a really good point, because so many times, I mean, I'm looking at my desk here and it's just cable central. And I think, oh, well, let me just try that out because I see it'll fit in. But obviously that really isn't the case. And, it's an important point to bring home that the reason that RT Systems has everything set up the way they do is because it's a full system. It's the software, it's the cabling, it's everything to make your radio work better. And I tell you what, we will never try to program a radio on our own. Every time we've purchased a new radio, in the cart also is a copy of the RT Systems that goes with that radio, because we just decided one time we got a new radio, and my husband looked at it, he goes, why didn't we order the RT systems with it? I'm like, apparently we weren't thinking when we ordered that radio. So immediately got online or called up Janet. Said, Janet, quick, send us RT systems that goes with this particular radio.
Mhm. Well, Katie, there is a good point with that, and not to contradict you, but I
Right.
will be the first to tell any ham, you need to be able to move from VFO mode to memory mode from the
Mm,
face of your radio. You need to be able to tune to a frequency. You need to be able to turn a tone on and select the correct tone frequency
right.
and set the offset. Now, saving it into memory, if you can, that's great.
Hmm.
You need to be able to do that, because if you
Right.
are in the field and your radio takes an electrical bump, it's going to forget everything
Oh,
except it's a radio. That's all it's going to know.
right.
And if you can't dial back to the frequency you're on, get the
Right.
offset, get the tone set, you're down. You're out.
Right.
And if you
Yeah,
were
that's
just
true.
doing search and rescue, you're down.
Right.
That's one more point I'm gonna make. These are 2 things I preach all the
Yeah.
time.
Good.
When it comes to modifying your radio,
Hmm.
which we have reasons why we can, and we can use them on other frequencies, modify your radio properly. Do not
Hmm.
modify your radio with software. Number 1, it's dangerous for the radio, and number 2, again, if you are in the field and you are doing search and rescue, and let's say you're on a 150 frequency because that's where the group is, and the
Hmm.
radio takes an electrical bump, and you've done a software modification on it, you can't get back to that frequency. You
Okay.
can listen, but you can't transmit. If you have done the proper modification on your radio, you can get back to the frequency and you can transmit. I would not count my life in an emergency situation on a radio that had been modified with software.
That
So
is an excellent point. Thank you for making that, because it's, I guess I tend to think, yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and do things, but when you think about it in terms of, say, like you're saying, search and rescue, or you're out doing something in the field and your radio bonks out on you and you don't know how to do the basics, then you're
you're
just you're dead in the water there.
you're dead in the water. That's right. Uh-huh. And the last point to that is be able to do it once. The
Mhm.
software keeps you from having to do it 1,000 times.
Right.
We'll make it easier to get it all in there. So,
Sounds good.
mhm.
So should we pull up your screen share so you can do a little demo or whatever you'd like to show off at the moment?
Let's look at a couple of things in the
All right.
programmer and on our website. I want to point some things out to some
Okay.
folks.
Now, would you like me to go full screen with this for
Oops.
you?
Yeah,
We'll
please.
hide. All right, we're gonna hide from you for a moment.
We're
So,
gonna
okay.
hide. You're just gonna
All right.
hear us like
All
you do
right.
on my
Here we
video.
go. We're
This
still
is
here.
this is our website. This is rtsystemsinc.com. This is our homepage. If you come into it, let me show you real quick. If you come into it small, notice it doesn't have the green bar at the top, but it has this menu that'll get you to where you want to be. But let me pull it back out. This how-to videos and this knowledge base, that's 2 of the most important things on our page. We put all kinds of information out here. But your how-to videos, these are not all videos. A lot of them, like programming the FT3D with the SD card, which we have been having to do for quite a while now. And just so you know, the USB 68 cables came back into stock this week.
Yay.
But see, it's a PDF. It's just a
Oh,
step
okay.
by step, take your time, read through it, and be able to do what you want to do. Another thing that's on our page, let's pick an ICOM here. ICOM, handhelds, and we'll pick the 31 plus. This click here for more information. All the
Oh,
programmers out there, I say all, there may be 1 or 2 that don't, have pages like this, and it gives you screenshots from the program and an idea of what you're going to be seeing in them. So if you're wondering about a new radio and does it do this or does it do that, there's a good chance you will get your answers here. And let me show you how you can get some of your answers. Let me bring up a couple of programmers. You get to see my ugly screen here.
Great.
Okay, this is the ID 5100. And let's say you're real interested in being able to put separate memories. This has a dual display, but you're real interested in being able to put separate memories in that dual display. You want the left to be UHF and the right to be VHF, just for an example. Notice how this has one bucket of memories. It's got a dual display, but it's looking at this one list.
Okay.
Okay. Let's look over here at the FTM 400. And there are lots of them that do this. This is just the one I picked. Notice I have a band A and I have a band B.
Oh, okay. Yep.
These work independently of each other. This is like having two completely different brains. Another thing that we get asked all the time is, does the radio have banks? And this, again, is something you can find in those click here for more information sheets. ICOM has banks. But let's look at the Yazoo, and there's nothing about banks over here. No, we don't leave them out. We don't miss things like that. This radio doesn't have banks other than the A and the B.
Okay.
Okay. Now, there are a lot of tricks that we know about them. This is one of my favorite ones. Somebody called us this week saying, why can't I put different things on the top and the bottom of the FT3D? And believe me, when we tell you back it's the design of the radio, we are not trying to be smart about it. We are just being truthful.
Right.
His other radio does it. Why can't he do it on this one? Well, excuse me, but that's another radio. His other radio happened to be the FTM 400. We got A and B. And the 3D, we have one bucket. Now, I was able to help him because of banks do what he wanted to do. So we sometimes have real good ideas for getting past what you're trying to do, or, figuring it out. But remember, the programmer reflects the radio.
Right.
We don't make these things up. We lay it out in a very similar manner to the radio. Now, I mentioned settings, radio menu settings, and I probably picked one that's long coming up. Yep, because this is a fairly big one. These are your memory channels. These are the things that can be set 1,000 times. These are the things that are set once. This is the rest of your radio. This one has a lot going on.
Wow, it sure does.
It does. This is the 3.
Oh, okay. Sure.
And so if you send a group of frequencies to your radio and it's like, why am I always having to turn this back on? Well, come out here in the settings and find it and set it. Save this file. And then I don't care how many files you make with frequencies in it. This goes to the radio. This follows it right to the radio. The big thing in here, of course, is call sign.
Right.
You want to set that up in these Yazoo Fusion radios. And what's really cool, if you don't, let's see if it'll let me send to it. It'll let me write to SD card. We're going to come up that I have to get data from first. Okay, it's not going to let me, but it's actually going to come up and ask me for the call sign.
Okay.
We have designed this so you can't send a blank call sign to the radio anymore.
Oh, great.
We're trying to help. We are doing what we can to help. I promise. We appreciate your suggestions. We really do, because sometimes you guys see it differently than we do.
Sure. Well, if someone starts playing with their radio, or they may find something and not find it in there, and it's great that they can make suggestions. And if it's something that's workable, the fact that you guys are open to hearing that, and if it's possible, you make it happen. And, like you said, you've been around for 25 years, and you and your husband, Rod, are RT Systems and made this all happen. So you are the original, that's the word I'm looking for. Gosh.
Yep. And we are, and you will get us on the phone at times because we're filling in right now with the move. We're filling in,
Right.
but we have a brand new ham in the office, KO4DAY. That's
Great.
Jared. And we're real proud of Jared. I have never seen anybody come along as quickly as he has. So do take his advice. He knows what he's talking about when he's working with the radios, and he'll help you. There's Erica, who has been with me for several years. She's not quite as technical, but she can sure take care of your orders and anything there.
Right.
And then there's Dusty, and Dusty's coming right along. Again, she's not quite as technical, but she can take care of your orders. And I have never seen anybody learn how to install drivers on a Mac as fast as she did. It was
Oh, no
it was
kidding.
wonderful. And that's something else that I need to tell all my Mac users. The Mac has been around for about 4 years. The Windows program has been around for 25 years.
Wow.
They are not as robust. They get the job done. The Mac operating system gives us some problems with drivers, but we have gotten really good at getting past it. So
Right.
don't get too terribly frustrated before you call us. You can also call and make an appointment now that we're all beginning to come out of lockdown. We
Okay.
do have Saturday hours. We do have late hours.
Wow.
Just call during business hours and we'll make an appointment and we'll call you back. We can usually get a Mac up and running in 10 minutes,
No
if
kidding.
that.
Wow.
And that includes the time it takes to do the team view.
Yeah. Yeah, that always takes a little bit of time to get someone up and running. So we just had a question from Alan about the Anytone 878.
The 878 is a DMR radio, and right now we just don't have the time to work with the DMR radios.
Gotcha.
So, unfortunately, no, we are not doing anything with anybody's DMR radios.
Okay. Well, thanks for asking the question, Alan. I'm sure
Yes.
there might have been somebody out there. Would you like to, do we need to go back to your programmer? I just thought while we were chatting, I would come away from the, that monitor or.
No, I think we have it.
Oh, good.
Just remember, there's so much more to it.
Right.
We are not going to run off and do things. Click the menus at the top. Look around. See what it has. See what it has to offer. And you may be surprised. And yeah, go back to the monitor for me a minute.
Sure. Let's pop over there. There we go.
Okay. We showed you the tabs at the bottom where it was the A and B, but skip memories, limit memories. These are all parts of the radio's brain. The VFO, this has become a popular question in just the last few weeks. I don't want these in here. Well, wait. If you don't want them, change them to a frequency in the band that you do want, but your radio's brain can't be empty in a VFO. If it's pre-programmed in the programmer, bear in mind that it has to be programmed. And the other thing we're going to do to you is if you blank one of these out and you do communication, send data to radio, we're immediately going to pop up and say, this has to be programmed with a valid frequency, bring you back to where it has to be programmed. Just enter a valid frequency for the band. It doesn't matter. 145 could just as easily be 147.94. Anything you want as long as it's valid. VFOB is the same way. Notice it's shorter. This is the 3. It's got more bands in the A part than it does in the B. Home channels, again, if they are programmed in the default file, change them, but do not leave them blank. Marine memories. Notice that these are grayed out. Anything that's grayed out is in the radio's brain, and the radio is using it when you're in a certain mode. It means you cannot change that information. It's there just so you know what it's doing. What I can do here is I can change the skip, and I can set them into banks. If I'm using banks, and let's say this was my local marina, I could, and I was doing everything there in bank 5, just that quick and easy. This channel will now appear in bank 5 for me. So
Neat.
and shortwave is the same way. Weather, I can name them. I can set skip on them, and I can include them in the banks. Yaesu radios I can include in all banks or one bank, bank of my choice. So, and we go on from there. And remember, when you send the radio, you're not sending this sheet. You're sending everything down from memories over and everything from the settings file.
Gotcha.
Okay, everything goes.
That is amazingly comprehensive.
It's been a real interesting journey doing this. Seeing the radios on the level that we see them. We watched programmers leave one radio company and go to another one because we could see their signature. We could see their style on our level of the radio. You guys just see frequencies. We see a whole lot more. And we could see their style in the radio.
No kidding. Wow.
And it's fun to watch them. And so it's been real interesting watching all of this. And in 25 years, no, we don't tell one company how another company does it. Not by any stretch of the imagination. Nothing that you couldn't learn from the face of the radio.
Right. So, well, fantastic program. I certainly, I can't say enough about it. We've used it here in our home shack for years for all of our different radios, and I'm never shy about saying how much I love RT Systems, especially when you and I meet up at a show and someone might be standing around and asking questions, and they'll say, "Oh, do you know about this?" I'm like, "Yes." I said, "I have them at home and love them, but these are the folks you talk to about it." And I really appreciate that you're able to take some time. I know how super busy you all are between moving to your new location and just with the COVID-19, and so many hams are home right now that they're on their radios and doing more experimenting and what have you. So you guys, your phones are nonstop and answering emails and calls. And again, just a reminder to everyone, it's just like with our stores that everyone's busy. And if you get a busy signal, just try us back again, because we'll be here, and your patience is greatly appreciated, because everyone's working as hard as they can to be able to, help answer all the questions that we know you've got.
Yep. And all the questions are important. I mean, there is nothing that makes me happier, and everybody who works for me, when we hear you smile on the other end of the phone, when I take you from, I can't get this to work, to, wow, I've got memory channels in my radio. And it's just so satisfying. It's just great. I love it when I can get a new ham going, or an old ham to learn something new about his radio.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today on Shack Chat, Sharon. Chat. Let me try that again. See, this happens every now and again. All right, let's take two. Thank you. Nothing like doing that on live stuff here. Thank you so much for joining us, Karin. I really, really appreciate it. And if anyone has any questions, is there a good their email that people could send their questions to you, or just go to the website and click on the contact us page is always good? Or
the contact page is always good. It's tech support at rtsystemsinc.com.
Great.
And we work through them as quickly as we can, and we'll get back to you. And again, if we don't, please send it again. And if you send it with a second request on it, you'd be surprised how fast it'll get in. We don't mean to miss you. Like I say, we work through them as thoroughly and as quickly as we can.
Right. Absolutely. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us this week on Shack Chat. We really appreciate it. And I bet you've got some calls in the queue just waiting for you. So we'll let you sign out. I'll finish off the show. And again, appreciate you joining us so much, Karin. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. I appreciate it.
Okay. We'll see you soon, hopefully.
Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, that was great. Really appreciate having Karin join in. And for anybody who's just logging in now, or perhaps after we went live, I just had Karin Thompson, KZRTX from RT Systems, joined us this week. It was a great deal of fun. And Clint says, best tech support in the industry. Yay. And I see my friend Sky has popped in. Hi, Sky. Well, it's been terrific. This week, we are newly streaming on our YouTube channel in addition to Facebook. So hopefully, some folks who aren't on Facebook are able to watch us on YouTube and check out what's happening. So I want to also make a few other quick announcements. I first of all would like to say thank you again and a congratulations to Josh Nass, KI6NAZ of Ham Radio Crash Course. Josh invited me to be a guest on his YouTube program last Saturday when he celebrated 100,000 subscribers to his YouTube channel. Woohoo! Yay, Josh. That is such a huge accomplishment. And he is doing so many great things to help out hams, new and older hams, more experienced hams, and brand spanking new hams, and has a great program going there. And Josh does a lot, particularly out of our Anaheim store. He stops in, and I know he's chomping at the bit for Janet to open up again so that he can go in and visit. But I wanted to say again, thank you, Josh. We really appreciate you inviting us here from Ham Radio Outlet to participate. And it was a lot of fun, and really excited for that milestone. And I think you're up to 108,000 on your channel now too. So it's just growing like crazy. And this coming weekend there's a lot of QSR parties coming up. And so any of you guys that may be just playing around, I bet you're going to find the bands are pretty full, because you've got the New England QSO party. You've got the 7th area QSO party. You've got Delaware, which people are always looking for Delaware to finish off their worked all states. You got Illinois and Indiana. So there's going to be a lot of people on the air this weekend, including this girl. So if you hear WY7QP, that would be me or my spouse. We'll be on the air this weekend and having a lot of fun. I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to it. I haven't played in a QSO party in a little while, so it should be a good time. Also tonight, just to let you know, I'll be on live on YouTube on the Ham Radio DX channel. I'll be talking about my journey in ham radio, doing a little bit of a shack tour through photos, and it should be a lot of fun. You might have seen the post on QRZ. And next week my guest is going to be Jack Nilsson from Compact Tenna. Very excited. Jack is always a lot of fun to talk with and hear about his different antennas that he's invented and all the great things they do. We had a great talk when we were back in Milwaukee at Superfest last year, and down at Hamvention earlier in that year. Of course, we're sad we won't be at Hamvention this year, but I hope you'll be able to tune in next week, same time, same channels, and I look forward to talking with you then. I really appreciate everyone joining us here today. It's been a great deal of fun, and I hope you will come back. Sharing is caring, so I hope you will like us, you'll follow us, you'll subscribe to our YouTube channel, and make sure you're out there having fun on the radio. So I'm going to say 73 for now, everybody. I'm Katie, WY7YL for Ham Radio Outlet, reminding you to stay radioactive. 73, everyone.